Good evening, ladies. I'm so happy that you are here. Welcome to I Am Leading Book Club. This is where we ignite possibilities, one book at a time. And I'm so happy that you are here. Yeah, my video is working, although iko na shida. Yes, so today the I'm Leading Book Club hosts another webinar just after we have read our book, No Limits by John Maxwell. And today's webinar is on the limitless she leader. And today we are going to see how to blow off the caps on our potential. So thank you so much. I have seen several faces that I had not seen before. Welcome. We are more than this. Kindly remind other members of the book club to join so that we start and finish on time. So kindly tell me where you are joining us from this evening. Let us appreciate. Use the chat to tell us where you are joining us from this evening. Let us appreciate. Where are you joining us this evening from? I'm waiting on the chat to see where we are joining from this evening. Yes. Wow, Nairobi. That is Naomi Senda. Karibu sana. Hortensia from Githiga. Wow. Angie from Kitengela. Nice. Beautiful. Kikuyu, Sarah Wayaki from Kikuyu. Karibu sana. Nice. Dr. Sarah, you're in Naivasha. You're finally disclosed. That is very good. Thank you. We are representing the face of Kenya today. Wow, amazing. Tabitha from Githunguri. Fiona, you're in Machakos. I thought you're in Nairobi. Okay, good. Nice. That's great. This is amazing just to know where we are joining from and kusema hello. So thank you. Thank you. Yes. More and more ladies are joining. Kindly remind them that we are on. This is I Am Leading Book Club. And today we are on the Limitless She Leader. And I wonder what comes to your mind when you think about the Limitless She Leader. The Limitless She Leader. I wonder what comes to your mind. I want you to start building a picture of a limitless she leader. And you will notice that we are talking about a she leader because you can be a leader and be from the other sex, that is the male. But today our focus is on the she leader because we are different. We are she leaders, which is very different from the male leader. And how we lead is different because we carry several other roles in our gender. So today we are exploring on how to blow off those caps that you've put on your potential so that we can be limitless, I'm trying to see the numbers, whether we can start officially. Kama umefika sahi, sema hello and tell us where you are joining us from. So good to see the new faces, and I hope this meeting will be able to help you move to your next level. So as we start off, because of time, I can see time is moving. I want to start with a story. Yes, Gloria, she's joining us from Port Sudan. Gloria is one of our speakers, so we'll be listening to her. Thanks, Gloria. And we've heard about the highest mountain in the world. And since I was growing up, I've heard about Mount Everest being the highest. I don't know whether they have discovered any other. And in my mind, I didn't know where Mount Everest was until I Googled and saw it is located between Nepal and Tibet. in the region of China. That was so good to know. And this mountain, they say it's at 8,849 meters. That is 29,032 feet. And they consider it as the tallest point on Earth. That if you want to be at the tallest point on Earth, then move to Mount Everest. Dr. Sasi is joining us from Makadara. Thank you very much. I've not checked. I don't know who can check for us. Mount Kenya. How many feet is it above? How many meters high or how many feet high? Who can check for us that? So that we can see the difference on the highest mountain in the world. Somebody check that. Put it somewhere. As you invite other members of the book club to join, time is really moving. Who can check? I can see it is 5,199 meters. 5,199 meters. Hey, Monica, you have climbed this mountain and you reached the highest point, I guess, Monica?
Yes, coach.
Where did you reach? Ulifika wapi?
And that you're just preempting my presentation. What?
It is there.
In the spirit.
I've not seen your presentation. But I know we are going to be wowed by your presentation. Good. But at least we know you've climbed Mount Kenya, and here is Mount Everest. Mount Everest is the highest at 8,000. So that is the tallest point on Earth. And this story I want to start with, just to open up these conversations, is many years ago, in the 1920s, a man named George Mallory led an expedition to conquer Mount Everest. And you can see it's not easy to climb that mountain, being the highest at more than 8,000 meters high. And they tried the first time. It was not easy at all. They failed. They gathered up their strength and said, we shall try again. And actually, they did that. They tried the second time. But what happened? They failed again. And I'm sure Monica will tell us how she did hers. But this team did not give up. They had heard this is the highest mountain, the highest point on Earth. And they gathered all their strength and all they prepared very well. And they were so determined to reach the highest point of Mount Everest. And up they tried again. And they tried again. But this time, they tried even better. And they went up on high. But while they were doing this, disaster struck. What happened? And this happened so much on these mountains. An avalanche hit. And what happened? Mallory and most of his team, they lost their lives. And I want you to picture that journey, that dream that they had. For many years, they had heard about this mountain. They had heard about this highest mountain in the world. And they were curious, they were determined, they were ambitious, and they said, I must go up that mountain. 8,849 meters. I must go there, the tallest point on Earth. So they had a dream, they had a vision, and it just didn't end there. They tried. They put some action to it. They tried the first time, they failed, but they did not give up. The second time, they tried again, gathered all their strength, they failed. They tried the third time, now gathering all their strength. But what happened as they climbed the mountain? They failed again. Now, this was it when this hit them, and they could see their colleagues dead, up high on the mountain. One day, the surviving members, they returned to England, and of course, a banquet was held in their honor. You can imagine climbing this mountain and you are hit by this thing and some of your colleagues are dead. And one of the survivors stood up to speak. And looking at the images of his fallen teammates, he just spoke and said, Mount Everest, you have defeated us once. You have defeated us twice. You have defeated us 3 times. As he spoke, he wasn't speaking to the audience. He was speaking to the mountain. And you know what? Mountains have ears. Mountains have ears. And mountains can move if you speak. Mount Everest, you have defeated us once. Mount Everest, you have defeated us twice. You have defeated us 3 times. He spoke to the mountain. But this is what is most profound, ladies, this evening. But Mount Everest, we will defeat you. That was powerful. Why? Because Mount Everest, you know what? Since God created you, you have never grown any bigger. The same way you were those many, many years ago is the same way, the same height you have been all these years. Mount Everest, we will defeat you because you cannot grow any bigger. But we can. Because you cannot grow any bigger, any larger, any higher, but we can. And that's our message this evening. That you listening to me this evening, you're not Mount Everest. You can grow more than you have ever thought of. And this year, 2026, is your year of prosperity, is your year of expansion, is your year of growth. But knowing that only will not change anything for you unless you speak to the mountain. You tell it candidly that I can grow. What does growth mean? It means that there is more in your potential. And that's why our topic today was blow off those caps of your potential. Because the story we've just listened to is not just about a mountain. It's a story about leadership, that your leadership can grow It doesn't have to be where it has always been, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. That the story of your life can change. You don't have to be where you have always been all this time. That you can grow, that you can expand, that something can be beautiful from your life story. I don't know about you, but most of the women I meet are almost giving up. Could that be you? That you've tried and tried, just like that team we have just listened to. They tried the first time, the second time, and even the third time. It was bad. They were seeing dead bodies. And maybe you've been there wondering how and when your miracle will come. You have tried all means, and maybe nothing seems to be moving. Maybe as you listen to me, there's an area of your life that you feel like, oh my God, if God doesn't come through, I'm done. Could that be you? Could there be a season in your life that you are feeling like, oh my God, I cannot make it? But I have got good news for you. That your mountain may seem too high. You may have tried once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and it just seemed like if something was blocking you. And we know when that happens over and over again, it's easy to believe, maybe this mountain is too high. Maybe that next level is not for me. And many a times we have been there. But is it true that the mountain is too high for you? The answer is no. Remember, the mountain is not growing. What must grow is you. And I want you to put that in the chat as we start. What must grow is me. The circumstances may never change, but it is you who builds your capacity to overcome the challenges in your life. So if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel something is not working, the question is the answer is you must build capacity to climb your mountain. And you know what? Nobody will do it for you. Nobody will do it for you. You must do it yourself. I want to see that in the chat. I want that affirmation that it is me to grow. I must grow myself. What must grow is me. That is so powerful. It's not the problems that will come. Problems will always be there. They have always been there. Remember even Sarah in the Bible, she waited for 25 years. So trouble is there. Shida iko. But what must grow is me. I want you to leave this place with that. It is I who must grow. It is me. I must grow myself, Fiona says. Yes, that is so, so important. Nothing will change, but it is you to build, expand your capacity to overcome whatever comes on your way. So you must build capacity to climb your mountain. And true to that, your leadership potential is not kept by the mountain. It is capped by your current capacity. And that's why we must grow our capacity. Because once your capacity expands, what once looked impossible becomes inevitable. Wow. So keep putting that in the chat. What must grow is me. I like that one, Jiku, the way you have said it powerfully. I must grow, Sarah. Exactly. You are calling yourself like the mountain, speaking to yourself. Exactly. That's how we are going to begin. So grow your capacities, because a few decades later, several other people have stood on the same summit. And today, thousands have followed. But what changed? Did the mountain change? No, the mountain never changed. But the people grew. The people grew. And that's what we are here for this evening. Trusha, kindly mute. Trusha. Okay. Hope I'll be able to find her. So it's not the mountain that will change, but you must change. You must grow. You must expand. And the question is not, is your next level possible? The question is, ladies, have you become the woman who can handle it? That next level. Have you built capacity to handle it? So that is our answer and our question this evening as we begin the Limitless She Leader. Because this woman, nothing defeats us. Nothing is impossible with her. She has zero limits. Because she can grow and the mountain cannot. That is so powerful. Your next level is not waiting for more effort. It is waiting for more capacity. A more expanded version of you. And that is why this evening, after 1 month, we have grown. It's not how we started. In January, we read a book. In February, we have read a book. In March, we have just completed that book and we are starting another book. Tomorrow is April. We start a new book again because we realize we must build capacity. We must read books that enable us to expand our leadership potential. And I'm so excited that we have with us 3 ladies who said, yes, I'm going to speak. In fact, Dr. Sassi said she was the first one. I am going to speak about this. Monica followed. Gloria followed. And today, we are privileged to have these amazing ladies speaking to us, unveiling the strategies and tactics to remove those ceilings on our potential so that we can step up into our next level of prosperity, of expansion, and of growth. Our first speaker, who is going to help us with the first part, is Gloria Avuke. This is an amazing lady I've worked with. And we just met online. I didn't know her before, just like most of you. But this woman has grown a capacity over time. The first photo, you can see there she was graduating. She did one of my coaching programs, which is called Unleash the She Leader. And she unleashed that leadership genius that lies within her. That was potential. That was life within her. The next photo, we are somewhere there. She was in a leadership retreat. We were deep down in Savo West, the Shetani lava flow. And there she wore a cape called Ignite because she is an ignited lady. Just below is Gloria. And here we were sharing the story of her life, how she has ignited possibilities by expanding her potential in her life. That story is in my YouTube channel. If you just go in there, you'll find that story. And she will ignite you into what possibilities can arise when we expand our potential. The next photo there in a blue t-shirt named Ignitepreneur. Here we were in Singapore for a leadership retreat. And there she is affirming she's $1 million woman. And the other photo beside the swimming pool, there is Gloria in Malaysia. Here she was celebrating having completed another course I called Leadership Gold. And we celebrated that in Malaysia. I highlighted her because I love her story. And you will agree with me when you listen to that YouTube story, that this is a woman who is ignited. She has blown off the capes on her potential. So I'll be sharing the link so that you can also listen to that story as we move on. Gloria Avuki Amwai, come to the stage. Karibu sana. Welcome. Let's welcome Gloria. Karibu, karibu. Gloria. Are you there? Gloria, Gloria, welcome on board. We can't hear you. Maybe you are muted. Gloria Amwai.
I can hear you.
Okay, come on board. We have
can
been
hear me now?
waiting. Yes, thank you.
I would want to share some PowerPoint.
Okay. Oh, it has refused for you to join
Yeah,
in.
host
Okay,
disabled.
let me see just a minute. I have seen why. Okay, now you can. I've allowed you.
Okay. I should have started sharing.
Yes.
You can see my screen?
Yeah, just make it larger. Slideshow, hapo chini. The other button, yes. You can use that kataka button.
Which one's that?
The next one?
This one?
Yes.
No.
I don't know. The other one. The one before where you were expanding. But yeah, that's okay. Thank you.
That's okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Coach, for the introduction. I'm Gloria. I have been with the BWC since season 11, and I'm really honored to be here to just be able to share my view and my take homes from the book from John C. Maxwell, No Limits. And actually, a lot of this book, there's quite a lot to take home. I will just touch on the chapter 1, which is just the introduction, and which is the awareness, self-awareness, and his view on self-awareness is an amazing thing, because for me, understanding who you are is one of the greatest human traits that we have currently, especially as women, because self-awareness allows you to stop looking outwards for validation. It helps you to live from a space of acceptance. It helps you to live from a space of inner strength, because we are able to draw strength from understanding who we are and what we have to offer. So according to John C. Maxwell, self-awareness is your starting point. And just for all of us who are actually in this platform, how much do we know of ourselves? How much do we know in terms of what we contribute, how much value we bring to the table, even in our careers, in our families, in our marriage space? Understanding how much value we bring without necessarily looking for validation externally will help us to be able to. John C. Maxwell, sorry, John C. Maxwell speaks of, we cannot speak of self-awareness without speaking of change, that we must be willing to change, not necessarily in drastic change, but even just simple, small day-to-day changes will lead us towards self-awareness and also towards removing our cap. The question comes, what is limiting you as a person? What is limiting me as a person? Understanding my strengths, understanding my weaknesses, and reflecting on my daily habits. One of the greatest strengths I've had, especially in my career, and also to be able to cope with the politics, especially in the workspace, has been to understand what I am good at. Coming into my workspace, you always thought that you need to be the best at everything, and that is what will sell you, and that will what will keep you on the job. But over time, I've learned that when I'm able to pick the 2 or 3 things which I'm able to deliver and nobody can necessarily question me on, it gives me a lot of confidence when I'm going into a space, not because I am perfect and not because I'm good at everything, but because those 3 things I know I'm good at sell me and give me confidence when I enter into my space. So understanding my strength as in work, understanding my strength even as a family member, understanding what I bring to the table, understanding myself, my strengths even in my friendships will help me to be able to interact in a more wholesome manner. In the same way, acknowledging my weaknesses also helps me to come into a space with strength and confidence, because I'm no longer entering to be wholly liked. I enter into a space acknowledging that there are aspects of me that may not be the best. And even when I'm interacting with my fellows, I also interact with them as human beings, acknowledging that they also have weaknesses. But also, I focus on improving on my weaknesses, but also I don't take tasks which I know are in my weak areas. I focus on the tasks which are in my strength and reflect on my daily habits. And VH is one of those areas which allows us and helps us to self-reflect, because if we're able to do our daily habits right, our feeding right, our water right, our exercise right, our reflection right, we are able to remove the caps which are in our lives as women and as individuals. In our workspace, if we are able to reflect on our daily habits that help us to achieve our goals, we are able to remove our caps. One of the stories about that John C. Maxwell talks about is about 3 boys who would walk on a certain path every day, and they would always throw their caps. And one of the small boys decided to throw the cap across the wall, and so that he had to climb to go and get the cap, because they were all curious, what is on this side of the wall? And because one boy was able to climb, the rest of the boys also climbed. And we can all imagine what they saw when they got to the other side. And the book also just challenges us as women. What do we have that is preventing us from moving to the other side? Coach has just spoken about Mount Everest and somebody wanting to climb it and pushing themselves towards climbing Mount Everest, whether they died doing it, but they were doing it. There are certain aspects about our lives, our career, our health goals, that there is a wall. There's a wall that is limiting us from getting to the other side. And John C. Maxwell encourages us to throw the cap, try and cross over to the other side, go against the things that are limiting you. And he encourages that the limitations we have mostly are in our minds and in our thoughts, not necessarily in our environment. There is a story that's given of a student who wanted to be coached. And what the agreement that they had with the coach was he was to do exactly what the coach told him. So he would wake up very early to go for exercises. he would be told to do very drastic exercises in order to be able to achieve the coach's, fulfill the coach's requirements. At the end of the day, he learned that as long as he followed the coach's instructions, then the environment was not the limiting factor. His mind and his ability to be in agreement with his mind was enabled him to achieve more than what he would do looking at the environment. So the environment is not what limits us. It's in our mind and what we allow ourselves to think about. So today, let's challenge ourselves.
Gloria, you're muted.
Okay, thank you. One of the things that comes, the lessons that comes out very strongly in the book is that your capacity is not set. There is no limit. There is no one person who's been told this is the farthest you can go. Mount Everest, somebody looked at it and decided this mountain cannot grow further. It's because there is no capacity that is put apart from the one that we put in our own heads. Even runners who run like Kipchoge, who decides that he has to break the limits that had been put in terms of minutes, how far somebody can run within a specific time, has had to do it to decide that there is no limit. So for whatever we want to achieve in our year and even in our lives, we have to do it in order for us to establish that, in fact, there is no limit in whatever that we put to do.
Are you there? Gloria? It should be a network problem. Yeah, a network problem. Wow, amazing story there from Gloria. She'll be back very soon. I can see new faces that have joined us in the book club meeting. Welcome. Kindly tell us where you are joining us from. We had already introduced ourselves, those who had joined earlier. Just tell us on the chat where you are joining us from so that we can celebrate with you as we wait for Gloria to come on board. Somebody say hello in the chat. Say hello in the chat. Let us know where you are joining us from. As we await for Gloria.
Me. Sorry, you can hear me?
Yes.
My
Welcome back.
apologies. Today my internet is really acting up, but I will just move fast and touch on just the general take homes from the book. Just to finalize on chapter 1 would be, I was given the example of runners who develop new maximums just by trying. There are people who fly to the moon despite the fact that before them flying, it has always been known to be impossible. Anyone who dares to question the limit always finds that in fact there is no limit. And Kipchoge Keino taught us that. So question 1, our take home from chapter 1 is, do you
can
know
share your screen,
what
Gloria?
is, yes?
You can share your screen.
Let me stop sharing and then I share again.
Okay.
Can you see?
Yes.
No, it's hanging. Okay. Okay. So one of the greatest take home of chapter 1 is, do you know what is limiting you and what do we intend to do to remove it? And I just want us to take moments to just self-reflect. What is it in me, in you or me, that is limiting you, and what do you intend to remove it? One of and this is just a testimony. One of the sessions we were having with Coach, and I had a conversation with her, and I was explaining to her that I know so much. I know what I need to do in terms of my exercises, in terms of my routines, in terms of my what I need to do daily to be able to achieve my goals. But somehow I don't get to do it. And as my coach, I approached her and I told her, Coach, I know everything that I need to do, and somehow I just I can't seem to get myself to do it. And we did a session with her, which was a one-on-one session, and she helped me to contact some of my inner limiting beliefs that were coming from my childhood, that were preventing me from being able to, for me, being able to tap into my sense of worthiness that I needed to be able to appear in certain spaces, either in my presentations at work, and even in my representing the organizations at work. I always felt unworthy. And Coach was able to establish that it's something that is linked to my inner belief, which was limiting me in the spaces that I was getting into. So understanding what is limiting you is very important. It could be physical, it could be emotional, it could be your thinking in terms of the thinking capacity, your people capacity, your creativity. Understanding what is limiting you is important. At the end of the day, you only know the correct medicine when you're able to define the disease, or you're able to establish what is limiting you. For chapter 2, being aware of possibilities and what makes you better. What are your abilities and what is your potential? He summarizes the book and says, your potential is deep inside you and your job is to discover it. I love the story of a guy called Nick, a young guy called Nick, who just decided in his heart that he wanted to be a motivational speaker. And he would write to different schools, up to 53 schools, to be able to get an opportunity to speak, because he was very passionate. He even paid his brother to be able to drive him around to the schools. And after a couple of presentations, he had so many invites, he could not even be able to achieve or to go to all the locations that he was being invited. Why was he able to do this? Because he was able to know his potential, and he was able to push and discover how he's able to develop this potential. And this Nick was a young child, not because he was skilled at it, but he has the drive and he had the desire within him. So being aware of our possibilities can make us better parents, better colleagues, better business people. And establishing and knowing, what do you need to know? What do I need to do? And what action do I need to take in order to be able to tap into my possibilities. We also have an example about how they train elephants. And when an elephant is young, they tie a string on its legs. And over time, the elephant begins to believe that it cannot move just because at the very beginning, it felt this tie on its legs. And it grows believing it cannot move. And you can imagine the size of a fully grown elephant with its strength and its capacity. And just because at childhood it was tied on its legs and it now has manifested and believed that it cannot move just because of that string. And that is an example of an elephant. But many of us are also just tied in the same way in various areas of our lives, whether it is whether it is in work, whether it is in our belief system. Something has just made us believe that we cannot move. So as much as people move and see you're an elephant in your career, you're an elephant in your business, you're an elephant in so many areas, just because you yourself are tied in the leg, you actually stand there and believe that you have been tied. And John C. Maxwell encourages us to take the cap off. And one of the ways we are able to do that is to be able to understand our strengths, our capabilities, our strengths based on our energy capacity, our emotional capacity, our thinking capacity, our people capacity, creativity capacity, production capacity, leadership capacity, understanding our lives from a place of strength, acknowledging what our weaknesses are, and reflecting on what our habits are. And then he also talks about our internal limits and train our limits and controlling our minds. Anytime you want to give, controlling your mind such that you understand that anytime you want to give up, you are only at 40% of your capacity. Anytime you want to give up in your idea, in your project, just know that you are at 40% of your capacity. If you stretch forth, you still can. There's a story he talks about Henry Ford. When Henry Ford was a young man, that is 1896, he decided he wants to build a bicycle. And he would put the pieces together until he developed a bicycle, but it was too big. The bicycle width was too big to be able to enter into his door. And you can imagine a young man has tried to put things together, and when it's ready, this dream of mine, for some reason, cannot get into a door. For many of us, we would have put the bike outside. But Henry Ford decided to break the door because the door had to come down to accommodate his dream. This is the same Henry Ford that later in life builds the Ford brand of cars that we see on the road. So being able to dream big and having confidence in our dreams, in our ideas and what we bring to the table helps us to take the cap, to blow the cap off. Just to summarize, he says that life is either a daring adventure or nothing. Risk is part of life, and the place between comfort zone and dream is where life exists. And I want us to just encourage ourselves this day that the place where life exists is actually between our comfort zone and our dreams. And most of us are caught in between, either in the comfort zone or in deep pursuit of our dreams. But life exists in between. You are either in your comfort zone or you're on the road to your dream. He summarizes chapter 2 by saying that the caps that exist are either self-imposed, the ones we put on ourselves, the ones people put on ourselves or put on us. And by taking ownership of the caps that we put on ourselves, because there are some which we can there are some which the cap which is most important is the one which we put on ourselves, the limitations that we put on ourselves. John C. Maxwell summarizes by saying, believe in yourself. I believe in you. And today we believe in you. And so believe in yourself, that you cannot be comfortable in your own life without your own approval. Sorry, Coach, my phone is acting up. Sorry, even the slideshows have been moving up. But I will just summarize for the sake of time that you cannot be comfortable in your own life without your own approval. Be the cap remover in your life. You are taught to succeed. And just being in a forum like this, being in a setup where we have a coach, that succeeding can be taught. And we can all teach ourselves to succeed. And just having belief in ourselves, we are able to remove the cap, the limitation, the capacity that has ever been put on us, or that we have put in ourselves, that society has put on us, that our belief systems have put on us. And I would want to apologize because my slides have been acting up. I am using my phone. And so that I don't take much time, I would like to end there by just encouraging us to take our cap off in every area of our lives. Thank you so much. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, thank you. Let's appreciate Gloria. Love hearts for Gloria. That has been amazing. You can stop sharing. That has been amazing. Thank you so much for starting us out, for us to identify our internal limits and to already know that we have potential that is within us. You can stop sharing. And that our job, as she said, is to discover and develop our potential. So thank you so much, Gloria. I don't know whether it's me who's still seeing the screen.
You're able to see the screen?
Yes. Stop sharing. Or is it me?
Okay.
Congratulations. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much for that powerful start. Indeed, you're an ignited lady who has blown off the caps. Because of time, let me introduce the next speaker this evening. Just a minute. Wow, that has been so good. Okay. Drums roll for our next speaker this evening. And our speaker, the next one is Jen Olisa Sasi. She is a clinical dermatologist. She has been a book club member for several seasons. Yes, there is Ignited Olisa. The first photo, I think she attended when I launched my book, Ignite, at Safari Park Hotel. That's where she was in blue. And the second photo, this must have been at the Glee Hotel, Runda, where we went for a meet and smile during the International Women's Day weekend. And the last one, we celebrate this lady who has blown off her caps. This was at the, it's called what? We were celebrating 5 years for the book club, existence of the book club, and she also graduated. And she had done 2 programs. One of them was called Unleash the She Leader, a 10 weeks program, and the other one was called Abundant Woman, also a 10 weeks program. So we can see the kind of women who are speaking to us. They're not just saying it, they are living it. And that is so important. Right now, Daktari Olisa is already in a class. She did a first program this year called Visioneering. a 3 weeks program, and she was able to share with us her vision board. And what was most exciting, Olisa asked while she was presenting her vision board, Coach, what is the next course for me? You know, I mean, these are the kind of women who have blown off the caps of their potential. They are ready for their next level and they are taking action. So already she is in class as we speak. She is already enrolled in a 10 weeks program, and it's all about developing a leadership potential. And I am super excited for her. Welcome, Dr. Olisa. Karibu sana. Check the table.
What an introduction, Coach. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
I'm having a bit of a sore throat. Sorry. I'm having a bit of a sore throat. I don't know. It is the weapon formed against me. Anyway, as Coach has introduced me, I am a clinical dermatologist and I like to call myself a soul healer. I joined Ignited and the book club in season 17, courtesy of a lovely lady called Mercy Kinoti. Very random. She was my client and we talked and we clicked and she introduced me to Coach, and I have loved being here. I have loved being in a space of where there's so much growth, there's so much safety, so much grace, so much vulnerability, and I have grown as a person. For the last, I think, 2 years, I have really grown. And I am super proud of myself. Thank you so much, Coach, for this platform. I'll straight ahead go to my presentation because of time. So I am presenting the second part of the book No Limits by John C. Maxwell. And in this part, he's talking to us about capacities. So for us not to be limited, we need to build on our capacities in various areas. And he says your potential expands when you intentionally develop your key capacities physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially. Interestingly, in medicine, the definition of health is the state of well-being physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially, without necessarily just the mere absence of disease. So you can see that the more you build your capacity, the healthier you are, literally. So what is this capacity? Capacity is the maximum amount that something can contain. It is also the amount that something can produce. This is according to the Oxford English Dictionary. So how much as a person, how much as a leader, how much as a she leader can you contain, and how much can you produce in return? As the first speaker has mentioned, no one told you that this is the much that you can contain or this is the much that you can be. So in simple terms, you are beyond, you're immeasurable. You can do so much, you can contain so much, but sometimes we are limited because of our conditioning, our belief system, our value system, and sometimes the environments that we are in. So the author tells us you have dozens, maybe hundreds. Sorry, this was supposed to be, you have dozens, maybe hundreds. Each capacity is based on your talents and choices. So there's one thing, there are two things here. One is talents, which I would say is more or less you're born with talents, and the other one is choices. Choices are how you show up every single day, what you decide to do, and the actions that you take towards the decisions that you make every single day as a leader, as someone who wants to become better. So there is the innate capacity, which is your talents, things that you are good at effortlessly, things that occur to you very effortlessly, very seamlessly. And then there are things that you are exposed to or environments that you are exposed to, and how you decide to show up. And if you actually proceed with the whole aspect of intentionally doing the action. And this, for the choices, for those who are doing the victory hour, I know that most of you can attest that the choice to show up every day has translated in so many ways, because you're able to build discipline, resilience, and consistency. So the first capacity that you're supposed to build is energy capacity. Energy is simply physical stamina and vitality. And we know that energy is what fuels our day-to-day, how we show up daily. Literally, our survival and our being depends on how much energy we have. Now, as women, we also need to understand that our energy levels keep fluctuating because our hormones keep fluctuating. So, as the first speaker had mentioned, self-awareness is very important, because when you're self-aware as a woman, you are able to track your energy levels, and this helps you to maximize when your energy levels are high. And it also helps you to extend a lot of grace to yourself when you feel like your energy levels are low, and it is very subconscious. And in this case, when your hormones are really acting up. And especially if you're a leader, because the people around you are depending on you to make decisions, to give them a way forward, to do all that. So for the times that it feels like you don't know or you can't tell, you're a bit irritable, it starts by you acknowledging that and extending grace to yourself for the team to actually understand you. So physical stamina, when you show up with strength, with energy, it limits burnout and poor sleep. And this happens because most of the time, when we say energy, I will like to put this in a medical, or in a medical perspective, that when we say energy, it is literally the level of, I would call, sugar circulating in your muscles to give you power to show up every day. So when you have enough power to show up every day, it limits you from having burnouts, and it also limits you from poor sleep. Why is sleep important? Because when you sleep, you rest. When you're well rested, you are able to show up better and more powerfully. So these are the key areas that you need to work on if you want to maximize on your energy capacity. Exercise, rest, nutrition. I would also add your mental well-being. And for women, you must be aware of your hormones and how they affect your being as per your age. This is very, very important, because most people would get into top managerial positions when most women actually would get into top managerial positions that have a lot of pressure when they are probably in their 40s, 45. And at this point, you're approaching menopause. So there's a lot of issues that are happening, sometimes without your control, and this can affect your energy levels a lot. Now, if you lose track of yourself, what happens is that you will end up having burnouts, and this presents as diseases. So you are constantly in hospital treating migraines, treating hyperacidity or ulcers, as most people know it. You're constantly in hospital with diabetes. You're constantly in hospital with high blood pressures. Okay, so you have to be conscious. Like, I just want to insist on that, because as women, most of the time you lose yourself. Women present to my clinic with hair loss, with dull skin, itchy skin, simply because they are not self-aware, not because they are bad people, but because the way the system has been structured, we are not empowered enough to know when to be self-aware and when not to be self-aware. So why it is important for you to increase your energy capacity? Energy capacity helps, means that you have to manage your energy, not just your time. I know for the longest you have been told, make sure you manage your time, but managing energy, again, helps you to show up better, more powerfully, because it limits it limits you being unhealthy, or rather, when you manage your energy properly, you are more healthy. And we all know that health is wealth, and we all know that when you are healthy, you show up much, much better as a leader and as an individual. Another thing that we need to work on is emotional capacity, and this is just the ability to handle stress and emotions. Now, again, as women, our cycle dictates that at certain points of our cycle we can be very happy, and at certain points of our cycle we can be very sad. I want you to look at it from a point of not victimhood mentality, but from a point of, this is not something that you can consciously control, but sometimes you project it to the people you're leading without knowing that you're projecting them. Growing up, I heard this a lot, and I still hear it, that women do not make very good leaders because they are very emotional rather than logical. And sometimes this happens because sometimes you are in situations where you really need to make decisions, but the hormones, or rather the point at which you are on your cycle, is literally just working against you. So if you have not built your emotional capacity to be able to actually understand yourself first before now you can show up to the world, then you will end up not cutting it out as a good leader, so to say. So what happens when you build your emotional capacity is it limits reactivity and also bottling of feelings. I am a victim of bottling of feelings, and I had to do what are they called? I think these personal tests, and I realized that I am a melancholic, and melancholics really keep grudges. And it was an eye opener, because nowadays I try as much as possible to speak my mind at an instant, and just to let it go. Because for me, growing up, I used to think conflicts would mean end of relationships, or things like I am a bad person. Okay, so if I am hurt, I bottle feelings. And you see, as a leader, there has to be feedback back and forth, there has to be communication back and forth. So this limited me from showing up as a very good leader, despite the fact that there have been so many opportunities presented to me to lead people. But because I hold on to so much, I am not able to show up. So most of the time I will just end up stepping down, and I'm like, no, I can't deal with people. So this was such an eye opener, and I was so glad when I noticed that such a big author would actually recognize this. These are things that do not come I would say they do not come often, especially to most leaders. It is not a conscious thing, because there are things that are not necessarily taught in class the way you would learn if you invest in learning about yourself and learning about how to manage, or rather build capacity. So how do you grow your emotional capacity? You have to be self-aware, and you also need to have boundaries. So boundaries are very important because they protect you and they protect the other person. There's a difference between having boundaries, and there's a difference between having boundaries and enforcing because you are in a higher position. If you force things on people, then chances are that they will just shut down regardless of your position, and then now there'll be very little productivity. So make sure that you're very, very self-aware, and this includes things like going for therapy to try and address your traumas and your limiting beliefs, because most of the time we project our limiting beliefs and traumas to other people or the people closest to us unknowingly. Or rather subconsciously. But once you work on it and you are able to figure yourself out, it becomes very easy for you to extend grace. It becomes very easy for you to decide, this is how far I can go, this is how near you can come to me, and now this is a clear boundary, without compromising on your values, or without feeling like you're letting people down or you're a failure. Emotional strength builds resilience. When you're emotionally aware, you are able to move forward much better. You're not holding on to things, you're not holding on to people. The example I have given you of myself being presented with leadership opportunities, but because I hold on, if someone talks back at me, I take it as they are being rude, and they are being difficult. So if 5 people do the same thing, then I just resign, I just step down, and I'm like, no, I can't move on with this. But see, this leadership opportunity is a place of growth, a place that builds my character. But because I hold on to I used to hold on to so much, it limits me from becoming a good leader, or rather a best version of myself. We also need to build the thinking capacity. So this involves critical thinking and decision making. This limits distractions and fixed mindset. Now, decision making, I think in the book, the author gave an example of a riddle rather. There are 5 frogs on a log. 4 decided to jump into water. How many remained on the log? And before I read the answer, I was like, yeah, 1. But now when I read the answer, it said all the 5 were still on the log, because deciding to do something and following it up with actions are 2 very different things. And you see, as a leader, if you have not built that ability to critically think, you rush into making decisions. And sometimes you make decisions out of fear. And when you make decisions, out of fear, this could be distractions from what you're supposed to do. Another thing that happens, or rather what I have observed from most people who are in leadership, is a fixed mindset. If we are going this way, we are going this way. So you're not flexible. And this is because sometimes I feel like, apart from self-limiting beliefs and the way the system has been structured, sometimes exposure is also very important. So sometimes you need to expose yourself to things, or to people, or to spaces where people think differently, do things differently, and approach issues differently, for you to be able to see, yeah, if it is done this way, and it has succeeded, then I can also create room in my space for that to happen. I also acknowledge that in most places, because you are under someone, sometimes it is so hard for you to be very flexible or to have wide thinking, because most of the time we need results, and because we need results, it has to just go this way. And because you're not the final decision maker, then yeah, it has to be done the way it has to be done. So I think when I was going through this slide, I thought about, because I think in this platform I have seen and met so many HR professionals, and I think that these are some of the things that, now that we are ignited She Leaders, these are some of the things that we can bring, especially to workspaces and corporate spaces, to be able to make people become better, and in turn we also become better leaders. So some of the things which I think most of us are doing is, of course, reading and reflection. So when you read, you're able to, personally, I love reading because I get different perspectives. I can read a whole book and I have only found 2 or 3 important things. And it feels good that there is someone out there who thinks the way I think. It is very fulfilling. Life follows your thinking, so how you think is how your life will grow. And I want you to look at this from abundance and scarcity mindset. If you think abundance, things just come to you. If you think scarcity, things will never be there. So how you think, how flexible you are, and how good you are at making decisions and following through with action is what makes you better, is what makes your life better, is also what makes you a better leader. The next capacity we are supposed to build is people capacity. Now, this is an area of struggle, especially for me. I am very relatable, I would say, but I struggle with keeping with keeping in touch or keeping people too close to me. And I would tell you that this is a trauma response, because as a firstborn, I grew up taking care of people. So when people get too close to me, immediately in my head, what switches is I need to take care of this person. So I start mothering them. So it is a struggle, because I am trying to find a balance between not mothering people because I get overwhelmed and just having a casual relationship. Recently, I went to my psychologist and she told me something very interesting. She told me I have an avoidance a confused avoidance personality. I want to be close to people, but then again, I really want to maintain my space. And it was interesting because I really struggle to network because of that. Because there's just a part of me that feels like, no, the more I get close to this person, I will start mothering them. But here, you need people. Human beings are meant for relations. We need people. We need networks, because people recommend people, and people who have been recommended to people are trusted more. Okay, if I tell you Coach Lois is good because you can see how I show up, then it is much easier, it is more believable than when you are on your own. So building relationship and connections is very important as a leader, and it is also very important as a human being, because it helps you to get to places that you have not been to. Even when you are working on other things like the critical thinking, you're able to get exposed to new ideas, to new ways of thinking, to new ways of sorting out problems. And when you have people capacity, it limits your ego because it makes you vulnerable. Like on this platform, I have been the most vulnerable I have been ever in my life. I have struggled with so many things, and I think when I did the Unleash the She Leader, I just poured my heart out because I was tired of living the same life, and I knew that I really needed to be vulnerable, and my ego had to go down. I could not say that, yeah, because now I am a doctor, I can't say this. What will people say about me? Because the only way I could be better, the only way I could connect with Coach Lois when she was offering the program was for me to be vulnerable, and she provided a safe space for me to be vulnerable, and my ego died. And since my ego died, I have been able to do so many things. Like yesterday, I went to a Monday movie night. I was all alone. I used to have very, very bad social anxiety. I was alone, I sat down, I watched the movie, and I went home confidently, comfortably, without necessarily feeling that it is bad. So on this area, I am still working on myself, and so I I totally related with this. So when you build people capacity, your ego is dead, and poor communication. So as a leader, there's always that feeling that you are above the rest, or you are the final say, or and all those things. But when you work on yourself, when you work on empathy, your listening abilities, your communication skills, then you're able to meet your group at their level. You're able to understand better, you're able to identify the things that they are good at, you're able to incorporate them, and you're able to work together as a team to achieve your goals at the end of the day. And this is because success involves others. um I'm yet to see one person who has succeeded on their own. I think there was a book that we read probably last year, and one thing that stood out for me in that book was about delegating. Because most people, or what I have seen in most leaders, they are so scared to delegate because of fear of failure. But if you have people capacity, if you can listen, if you can communicate well, if you can identify other people's strengths and abilities, then you can use them to grow your own dream. Because it is just about empowering them and giving them the willpower, or giving them the allowance to show up in their best version, and they feed into your dream. I think the author said that one of his team members literally does most of the things. And you can see he is very successful because of the team that he has behind him. Everyone from his family, from his people at work, and he's embracing people's ideas because he listens keenly, he asks the right questions, and he is able to see how these ideas will fill into his dream and how these ideas will help his team members to grow. So he's not moving as a solo person, but as a team. Creative capacity. So here we are working on problem solving and innovation because this limits fear and rigid thinking. This reminds me of a quote that says, fail early, fail often, fail early, fail often, fail forward. Most of us, and I think because of how we grew up, or the state of our society, is that most people fear failing. Most people fear failing. And when you fear failure, you will not grow. Personally, I'm very introspective. And I had a problem because I am very introspective and I am a perfectionist. So these were two things that I battled with. So what happened is I had to work on my perfectionism. I had to kill that because that was an ego thing. I had to kill that so that my introspection abilities can help me. So if something does not go as I planned, I introspect and take lessons from it and how to improve instead of blaming myself and instead of feeling like a failure. So as a leader, for you to become better, and I can tell you, I have become much, much better, especially with my finances. I have become much, much better because of this. If I make a mistake, I am not rigid. I'm not beating myself down. I'm not blaming myself. I extend grace. I analyze the situation. Literally, I sit down with a book and see this is where I failed, this is where I did, this is what I did, and I am able to see how I can make things better. I'm able to see which other ways can I be able to make things work next time. And even if they don't work, I am very open to saying that I tried and it failed and it is okay. It does not mean that I have not tried anything. I have not I have never succeeded in anything. So it is not like a final, it is not the last nail on the coffin that this one failure. And most of us, I think we are stuck there. We are stuck in this feeling of, I have this talent, I have this gift. Can I try this? Can I try that? Because once it does not go through the way we anticipated or the way we envisioned, then it means that we have failed. So any other new idea, any other new skills are not welcome. So the moment you build your creative capacity, you unlock solutions, because there is not only just one way to solve something. There are a million ways to solve something. And this is beautiful, so beautiful, because it is like you're in your element when you don't necessarily follow the normal to solve things. When you're in your element, you're just happy, you are more fulfilled when you're sorting things in your core element. Another thing that we need to build, another capacity, is production capacity. So your ability to do things and get results. We can plan, but if we don't actually do it up to the point that we get results, then it is in vain. And as leaders, we have to make sure that if we plan and put steps for action, we follow through and we get results, regardless of whether the results are good or they are bad. Following through with this helps you to, it limits procrastination and perfectionism. Because if you are a perfectionist, at the slightest sign that something will not work, most of the time you will back off, or you will close it, or you will forget about it. Again, if you cannot execute, you will always think that you have so much time to execute it. So it will be like, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, I'll do it, and then eventually you will not do it. So what happens when you build your production capacity is that you become more disciplined and more focused, especially in your goals, whether as a team or as an individual. Actions is what creates success. The moment you decide to do something and actually just do it, that is success. So regardless of whether the results are good or they are bad, you have done, you have executed, and you have gotten the results, whether good or bad. That in its own element is success. Then we also need to build leadership capacity. So this is very, I would say it's very interesting, because leadership, I talked to someone and I asked them, what is the difference between a leader and a manager? And they told me leaders are influencers. They influence people, they guide them. Managers follow the protocol, the job description. And I wondered to myself, how many people do we think are leaders that are just managers? They do not have the ability to influence and guide others. So I want to pose this question to you. In your capacity, do you think you are a leader or do you think you are a manager? And in this sense, in whatever capacity you are you influencing people to become better? Either by the way you show up, by the way you believe in them, by the way you believe in their ideas, or you're just guiding them through a manual. You're supposed to do this and that and that and that and that. And I specifically did the unleash the she leader because I wanted to be a better leader. As I mentioned earlier, leadership opportunities were presented to me, but because I had my own limiting beliefs and traumas, it limited me from influencing and guiding other people. I can see people's strengths, I can see their abilities, but I am most of the time, because of how limited I am in my thinking and in my judgment, I'm not able to influence them. So at that point, I'm a manager. But I know all of you know that leadership is something that is so deep within that whether you are a manager or not, it comes out naturally. So most of the time, there's always a clash between this thing that you're supposed to do and this position that you have been put. So building your leadership capacity is very important, because it does not necessarily need to be that you are leading a group of people. Even leading yourself is very important, because slowly you will notice that you are influencing the people around you. How you talk, how you show up, how you dress, how you solve, how calm you are, how gentle, how kind, how gracious you are. It will influence the people around you, and that is the most important aspect about leadership. So when you build the leadership capacity, it takes away self-focus and lack of vision. Because most of the time, leaders would want to do things on their own without necessarily moving with their team, and this limits achieving the goal at the end of the day. But when you show grace to yourself, when you lead yourself by the small things, when you plan your own schedule and you follow through, you are able to show grace to other people even as they plan things and they follow through. So you cannot be a leader of people if you're not a leader of yourself, because as you face the challenges on yourself, you will also project that same attitude towards the people you're leading or the people that you're having. So growth so the growth areas is service and trust building. So leaders are people who serve. A moment of silence for that. Leaders are people who serve, not people who are served. Leaders are meant to serve. Okay? And you serve by influencing and guiding others. So if you're here and you're a leader of a team, your work is to serve the team. I want you to go and try and look at what being a leader and service means vis-a-vis what being a leader and guiding, not guiding, but rather coercing people to follow instruction means. Because if you cannot serve, you cannot lead. And if you cannot serve yourself, you cannot serve other people. So there's a lot of self-awareness and a lot of trauma and a lot of unlearning of things that needs to be done as leaders for you to be able to build your leadership capacity. Leadership multiplies impact. Now, I am sure all of you have been through someone's hand who was so quote unquote good. And because that person was good, there was a ripple effect. You were also good to someone else, probably maybe during your internship, or there was a teacher when you were in school, or your neighbor, your caretaker, your gardener, whoever. There's someone who did their job with so much humility, so much grace. They were very diligent, and it somehow influenced you to become better. So know that for every person you interact with, how you show up as a leader is what will make them show up better. And this is what multiplies impact. So I think Professor Joyce shared that people really saw her reading books, and she was able to influence that reading culture in her office. And you can see people embraced because they probably looked at her and saw how good of a leader she is, and subconsciously wanted to be like her, and probably even thought the secret is in reading books. So can we read these books up to a point where now in her office, people, they have books that they read and they motivate each other. That is the power of leadership. So in conclusion, you don't need more talent. You already have enough that you need to support yourself or to become a better person. You just need to tap into it and build and make it and fill that capacity and produce more of what you already have. You need to expand your capacity. So this is like a must for all of us, that you have to tap into your capacity and make sure that it expands to its fullest, which I am very sure it does not have any specific measurement. So you can go as wide, as high, as low, as as deep as you want when it comes to all the capacities in your life. Growth is intentional and continuous. I can tell you, because I was not the same person last year. I am here now. I have intentionally decided to grow. I have intentionally decided to read books. I have intentionally decided to do the victory hour. I have intentionally decided to go to therapy because I want to become a better version. So it should not be a matter of someone coercing you to do it, but it should be a decision that comes really from you. Then energy fuels productivity. When your energy is balanced, you are more productive. That goes without saying. Thinking guides decisions. So if your thinking is limited, your decisions are also limited. If your thinking is flexible, your decisions are flexible. And if especially your creative thinking is your creative capacity is big, you are able to we call it in medicine to mutate. You are able to margin. Now we are living in an era that keeps changing very fast. So if your thinking is very limited, then you'll not be able to grow and keep up with whatever is happening in the world. So you have to be very open-minded, of course, with a bit of limits, but don't be so fixed because of your conditioning or your limited self-beliefs. Emotional strength sustains you. Again, when your emotions are balanced, you show up better. You do not project. You show up better, fair, gracious, and most importantly, vulnerable. Vulnerability is one thing that is taken for it's I wouldn't say shameful, but most of us, we do not know how to be vulnerable because it brings out the aspect of us that looks weak, that looks like a failure. but I can tell you for sure vulnerability is very important because you are not perfect. When I look at you like this, I can only see here. I can't see here. But when I tell you I feel like there's something stuck on my head, then what happens is you are able to go to check my scalp and tell me, yeah, you have a tick, or it is a stick, or it is a bug, or it is whatever it is, and you're able to remove it from me. Or you can tell me, hey, daktari, there's no hair on your back, and that will help me that will make me get help on how I can grow hair on my back, because I can't see this part. That is the power of vulnerability. People skills open doors. People who mention you to other people. Mercy Kinoti in this group mentioned me to Coach Lois, and Coach Lois provided a safe space for me to be vulnerable, which I'm so grateful, and I have immensely grown as a person, and I am so proud of myself. So if she came to my room and I was just a doctor, just there, no smiling, no chit chat, then she would have come and gone. I would have shed her, and I would never be here today. So people skill, very important. I am honestly working working on myself. And then finally, leadership multiplies impact. Thank you, ladies, for listening to me. Have a great evening.
Wow. Thank you so much, Daktari. Thank you for taking your time to prepare that very detailed, impressive presentation with your takeaways. Wow, that was fantastic. It just tells us about the depth of your preparation. Asante sana. Now I can see time has really moved and we still have one presenter. I want to introduce to you our book club member Monica Gashusha. I will introduce her photos later. Monica, come on board because of time. Come on board. We have journeyed with Monica for some time now. Monica, you there?
Yes, I am, Coach.
Karibu sana. I want you to
Hi.
move on because of time, and then I'll introduce your photos later.
All right. Thank you very much. Mine will be very brief, so you can be sure I will not take long. And I will share my screen. All right. My screen is visible.
Yes.
Good. So thank you so much, Coach, for this time. I'll be doing the part 3 of the book, which is about choices and the power of choices. And that quote there stuck with me, that you cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. So the choices you make in your life, in whatever aspect, have a meaning. And my presentation will be a story. And as Coach said at the beginning, yes, I made it to Mount Kenya, right? It is me there celebrating myself, and I give myself a trophy because I made it. I made that choice and took the steps, took off the cap of all the limiting limits, did the work, and I found myself at the mountain.
Wow.
So how did this journey start? Last year I was feeling very scattered. You want to do something, but you feel you are scattered, your mind is not settled. And a friend of mine told me that nature has a way of resetting your mind. And she had done Mount Kenya, and she was like, I went to the mountain and I am a different person. So I would want you to go to the mountain and experience, because I cannot tell you how I am feeling. You can only experience yourself so that you know what that journey can do for you on a personal level. And that's where I made that decision. It was a personal choice. We started very many people, but we only submitted 8 people. So it can tell you that people make choices, but the action to complete is very personal. So how did it all start? The group that I went to was ladies over 40, very specific group. And the reason was, and the coach who was training us said that when life begins at 40, a lot of women feel scattered, they are not able to make decision, a lot of midlife crisis, menopause is checking in, you are, you're just not yourself. And you need something that will just bring you to be you and do you for you, right? And there was a lot of preparation. And part of what we did when we were preparing for the hike calls for personal responsibility. And I like the book because some of these keywords, decisions, the decisions you make, the choices you make, it is your personal responsibility. So for me, this hike was very personal and I took personal responsibility. So number one, I had to prepare because we were told that before you go to the mountain, you have to do 5 mountains. You have to do Longonot, you have to do Kilimambogo, you have to do Ngong Hills, you have to do Elephant Hill, you have to do Rorimeria. So those are 5 mountains before you go to Mount Kenya. And all this is to build your resilience and just to make your body acclimatize for the hike. So how was preparation? Number one, we had to be accountable. Every day, you had to do over 5,000 steps and report. And I know we do that in our group. You need to show up. So this was an everyday thing. Every day you do your 5,000 steps because also the mountain can be very unforgiving for somebody who has not prepared. So that's number one. Number two is your meal. So this was my meal for about 2 months. My veggies and my protein. I used to get my sugars from fruits. Why? Because I had also a personal responsibility to shed a bit of weight. So I did low carbs and also got my carbs from things like nuts and dates, just as advised by the coach. So we had a meal plan on how you feed, and especially when you're nearing. So you prepare for 2 weeks. So then the last week, you make sure that you don't do milk, you don't do wheat, because it gives you nausea and altitude sickness. The other thing, if you look at those ladies there who are training, you can see all of us have the right gear. So this preparation also needed that you need to have the right gear, the right shoes, the right jacket, water in your bag, at least not more than 3 kgs. 3 liters of water plus your snacks. So that was early morning when we were going to Elephant Hill. So that was the preparation. And when I was reading this book, I felt like I was being addressed on some of the things that we do in our lives, but we are not conscious about what we are doing. Choices, we normally say that choices have consequence. Whatever choice you make or you undertake, it has a consequence. We are who we are in our lives because of the choices that we have made. We are where we are because of the choices we have decided to take. So this was my preparation for the hike, and serious choices for everything, well articulated, because at the end of it all, I didn't want to miss that summit. And like Coach Lois started, we were also prepared that you might not summit. If we go to the mountain and the mountain is rough, maybe there is snow, you're not able to go, you will come back. So we kept praying and trusting that our summit night will be favorable. All right. So that was the preparation for the hike. So these are the two These were the hardest, I must say. Elephant Hill, maybe somebody has hiked here. That is it's no joke. You have to be really prepared for it. So of course, when you reach the summit, you are very excited. You are very happy. You embrace yourself. You pat yourself at the back and say, I made the right decision, right? And the one on the right is also at Rorimeria, another tough one. But now when you get here, you know that the summit for Mount Kenya will not be a tough job. Serious preparation, and some of the things that I would say that were key lessons for me. And even in the book, when I was reading the book, I was just looking at the choices that we make in our life. When we were sharing in the group, many people joined the hike for different reasons. Some of us joined because we were feeling scattered, we wanted to do something challenging, just to bring our thoughts online. We had a lady who was just hiking because she wants to add weight. At the time we were pointing, she was weighing 42, and she was like, I just want to get to 50. So for her, hiking is to give her appetite to eat. And I know people are saying, wow. The other person was hiking because their mental space was distracted. They just wanted to hike and have their peace and reconnect with themselves and just have that peace. Others were just hiking because they want to experience the mountain. So everybody had a different reason why they went for that hike. So we all have diverse choices that we do. You choose where to live, you choose where to take your kids to school, you choose what to do in your life. All these choices are because there's something within you that you want to achieve. You want to achieve greatness, you want influence, you want to be recognized. All those choices, you make them for a particular reason. So I just felt this book has condensed my learning that indeed I have no limit to what I purpose to do. All I need to do is to sit down and ask myself, what are the choices that I need to do? And what are the decisions that I need to undertake? And all those decisions will bring out the capacity within me to be able to accomplish that what I have purposed. And just to bring you some lesson. My lessons from the mountain one, it was a very personal choice. And like I said, we make personal choices for different reasons. Number two, there are many who chose to go for the hike, but they never made the decision to start. So for me, the decision to start was what mattered most. I went to Kilimambogo, but I had not trained very well. And let me tell you, the trail can be very, very, very disappointing and harassing if you're not prepared. It can be very unfair to the unprepared. And I struggled to get to the summit. And you know, when you get to the summit, you rest for a few minutes and you have to go back down. And let me tell you, that is the time you are like, wow, you know, I am paying money to stress myself. I want to stop this. But when you look back and say, why am I here? What is the purpose of coming here? You know, then you tell yourself, no, I need to finish this race, right? So preparation, okay, determines your experience. If you're well prepared, you enjoy the experience. You enjoy the cold weather, you enjoy the ambience, you enjoy the fresh air and everything that the mountains can give, right? When you're going to some of those very harsh terrains, what counts is that one step counts. And I remember coach would tell us, don't be in a hurry, just move at your pace. Allow your body to just move. Those are the moments. Before we start the hike, we used to have some questions that during the hike you go reflecting. Then when you get time to rest, we debrief using those questions. The learnings that you pick, how you're feeling your body, you're feeling your pulses, you're sweating, you're feeling your sweat. You know, you just feel you. in your only state. So that was very refreshing. So you enjoy your pace. Something else that that experience taught me is that you need to choose your champions wisely. The people we started with, for some reason, everybody connected with somebody. And I mean, as late as last week, there are people who are doing business together, there are people who are traveling together, there are people who are connecting for different reasons. We became partners, and not just partners, it's partners, that we have endured together. So there's something you're sharing in common. So weather changes, and we were very happy when we summited. You can see there, we got some sunlight for about 15 minutes. Then by the time we were getting down, there was hailstone all over. So weather can change. So can you remain adaptable to the different environments? You can make a choice to maybe change jobs, and something just happens in that space. Or even in your family, something happens. So can you be very adaptive in the environment that you are in? And finally, rest is very strategic to help you just, bring your muscle back home, feel refreshed, and just enjoy that experience. It was tough, yes, but I can tell you there was a lot of benefits. And finally, the summit isn't the end. So after that time, you are seeing me there celebrating. By the time we were getting back to where we were supposed to go back, it's called Old Moses. Let me tell you, we walked for over 22 hours because we started our journey to the summit around 11 p.m. to the following day at around 3, because it rained all through. And this is not just normal rain, it's raining hailstones. So you can imagine the whole ground is white of snow. You're being hit all over. It was tough. But once we reached our destination, everybody celebrated that actually I did it. And that choice was not in vain. So that is my story about the mountain and the choice and the benefits and the lessons that I took from the mountain. So just 2 slides, I sum up the book. So from what I did, and I will not belabor on this. So why personal choices matter? All right. Whenever you make that personal choice, number one, you take charge of your life. Every decision that you make, you are the CEO of your life. You're the one seated on the driver's seat. So you steer your life to the direction that you want. So your personal choice really matters because you take responsibility of your life. Number two is that the personal choice you make, it forms your character. All right. You become somebody who can be trusted. You become somebody who can be, the character around you is because of the choices that you made. Like now, I feel I am what Mountain taught me is to focus. And I was actually telling Coach the other day, we had gone for the money, what is it called? I've forgotten. Yes, that one.
Blueprint.
Blueprint, yes. And I was telling Coach that since I did the mountain and just before that, the lessons I picked, I've been very focused person. When I decide to do something, I do it to the end. I don't just, Kitambo, I used to pick things you do halfway, you're here, you're there. But now if I pick something, I have decided to go full blown, I must complete what I have started. So that razor focused aspect has really stuck on me. And allow me not to discuss all of them. This is the summary of the choices, and all this is in the book. The choices that you make, just be believing that there is more than enough. Think about abundance. There is more than enough. Don't be afraid to venture into that business. I support businesses, and sometimes you get all manner of excuses. My business is not doing well because I don't have money, because I need a marketing person. I don't know how to post on social media. And sometimes I just tell that person, relax. Let's just have a plan. Every day, we do something. right? Discipline. Some of these things, if you look at all these words, these are things that are ingrained in ourselves. Very rare will somebody come and teach you these things, and especially at this level. For now, I mean, unless you're in different environment, very few people will start coming to show you, to tell you, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. That is your personal responsibility, to have discipline, to focus, to follow through, to make decision. So do you have that discipline in your life? All right. It being intentional. All right. I've said, for me, focus is just the word. If you focus, it means you are intentional of what you have purpose to do. What is your attitude? Do you wake up with a woye, woye, woye? In fact, nowadays I feel if I am around people who are complaining so much, I just, my spirit just withdraws, because I tell myself that is already an attitude you're putting yourself to limit yourself toward doing something. Have that attitude that sees positive, that sees abundance, that sees possibilities, and things like that. Risks, all right? There's nothing that will happen in your comfort zone. So get out of your comfort zone. I got out of my comfort zone, decided to do hiking, and I think I'm doing another circuit, God willing, June, July, August. So still preparing, getting out of the comfort zone. Spiritually, strengthen your faith. We have a supreme being for those who are, in salvation. Anchor your choices, that there's a supreme being that watches over you, that guards you, that directs you, that watches over you. And growth, focus on how far you can go. Don't limit yourself. Make choices that are long-term, and then make those daily steps that move you towards your goal. And you cannot grow alone. Who are your partners? There's a statement that says, we grow by lifting others, all right? So once you grow one person, you're also lifted in one way or another. And I chose this because I feel these words are choice of words for growth and leadership. Nobody will teach you discipline. Nobody will teach you intentionality, attitude, growth. It has to come from you. And this one was meant for, I was telling somebody, this book has given me insight for my work and what I do. So I just chose this one intentionally for a certain group so that they can understand how important it is to choose the words that make you grow, and especially if you're in a leadership position. This one I picked directly from the book. To sum it up, I got an acronym, and we all love spices, cinnamon here, ginger there, and I hear people doing concoction, and we love our spices. So I came with an acronym to just look at the choices we make in different spaces, okay? In your spiritual life, what are some of the choices that you make? In your physical space, what are the choices that you make? Intellectually, what are the choices that you make? In your career, what are the choices that you make? Emotionally, do you make some of the choices? And Daktari just mentioned of how emotionally women can be because we have not understood our hormone system, all right? And socially, what are some of the choices that you make? And as I close, this is just a summary of those choices that physically you need to make choices, either in your nutrition, how do you move, how do you become physically, fit, or whatever choice may be. Socially, do you have your social capital? How do you connect? Do you invest in relationship? What are some of the choices that you make around there? Emotionally, how is your attitude? All right. How do you respond? Do you listen to respond, or do you listen to react? All right. Do you forgive? So that you stop carrying baggage of the past that make you make wrong choices. How is your emotional space? Intellectually, what is your growth? Are you intentional about where you want to go? Are you learning? Are you curious about different disciplines? Who is your coach? Who is your mentor? All right. How are you growing in your different space? Spiritually, look at your faith. How do you strengthen your faith? What is your purpose? What is your inner direction? How do you tell God to lead you? Okay, how are your values? Are you aligned? Are you living by your deepest value to ensure that your character and action stays consistent? All right. What is the significance of your success spiritually? Do you support others? Then unlock that, lasting fulfillment by what you do. Your career, you're responsible of your career. Okay, what choices do you make around your career? Taking charge of your professional growth and not waiting for others to lead. If you want to do that, masters, get to class, organize your finances, get to class, right? If it is that professional course that you want to do, it's your responsibility. What choices are you making around your career? Risk capacity, choosing to step out of your comfort zone. All right. I've heard people say, I can't do this because I am not well equipped. Some of us started in a very weird way. We started just doing live online, and somebody just spotted and said, oh, I can see you do something online. Can you come, we discuss? Become vulnerable so that somebody can also notice you. I normally tell people, if you have started a business and you don't talk about it, who will know the solutions that you are offering? So speak about it. Make the right choices. Engage people. If you're not good at it, that's why we connect to each other so that we amplify each other's strength. Right? Look at partners that you can work with and they can support your business. So every choice you make today either expands or shrinks your capacity, either physically, socially, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, and in your career. Okay? And that's the end. Thank you very much.
Wow, amazing, amazing, Monica. That was powerful. My video is now no longer working again. That was powerful. Thank you so much. Let us celebrate Monica in the chat. I think even people have been celebrating you as we moved on. Thank you so much. And ladies, I told you, yes, these ladies are blown off the caps of their potential. They are limitless. They have zero limits. They have zero limits, and this is one of them. You have heard from Gloria. She spoke about knowing what our limits are and blowing off those caps over our limits. Then we went to the next speaker, Dr. Sasi, and she spoke about how to build. You can stop sharing, Monica. How to build the capacities. Because here we are saying build your capacity, but what are the capacities that we are building? Monica, kindly, yes, I wanted to share something. Great. And Gloria talked about, Dr. Sasi talked about the energy, the emotional, the thinking, the people, the creative, the production, and the leadership capacities. All these capacities are going to help you to build that muscle that is going to help you to climb Mount Everest. And then now finally we had Monica, our last speaker, who has ignited us to the next level. Is it sharing? Yes. And this is Monica here. Is it showing? What has happened? Okay, just a minute, we'll get there. Then we came to Monica and she talked about her journey and how she has done it, climbing the mountain. We started with Mount Everest. Now we have localized it, Mount Kenya. And she was able to share with us her journey and the choices that she was able to make to be able to be a part of that journey. Are you able to see my slides?
Not yet.
Not yet, eh? I think there is a problem then, yeah. I don't know what's happening. I'm trying, it's not working. So Monica talked about the choices that she has made, and she also summarized them for us by giving to us the summary from the book, how she took personal responsibility, how the character she developed as a result of her journey climbing the mountain, from all the preparation that she had to go through. I think I'll leave it there so that you can see. Then she talked about the discipline. She talked about the intentionality, how she was very intentional, the power of attitude, being a risk taker, spirituality, growth, and partnership. So in short, we have summarized the book, and now it's up to us to take action, because we know we can gather so much knowledge, but without taking action, nothing moves. Confirm you can see the screen. I'm not able to expand. I don't know what's happening here. Are you able to see? Somebody? Hello?
Yes, Coach. Yes.
Oh, you can
Yes.
see. Ah, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I've tried. It was not working. I don't know why it has gone now to the other one. Monica, I want to share your photos and they're refusing. Okay. The first photo there, she's in a blue dress. Was with Monica at the Glee Hotel during the International Women's Day. That's we interacted there. The next photo, she's in a blue jacket. That one was the Rich and Royal. That is the Rich and Royal Ladies Club. We had a meet and greet session there at the end of the year. I can't remember the year. And we were with Monica there. That I think was the first time, if I'm not wrong. Was that the first time, Monica? We were meeting face to face.
Yes.
Yes, 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 yes. And the last two, when she's wearing a red jacket, that is the last incident. That was just 2 weekends away. We're with Monica again for the Money Blueprint Retreat. This is a program where we go for a retreat to learn. So this time we were learning about passive streams of income. And here we had Monica at one of the book club members' farm in Kajiado. And there is Monica smiling and saying she's making boss moves. And for sure, you have seen she has demonstrated the boss moves she has been making all through. So that has been the Limitless Woman, and I hope it has added value to you. You are not going to live the same way you came. You have blown off the caps on your potential. Remember that you can become the next best version of yourself. You only need to speak to the mountain and you tell it, Mount Everest, you shall not defeat me because I can grow. You cannot grow, but I can grow. And that is so powerful because we affirmed this. We affirmed that you can speak to the mountain and tell it that you are greater because you can grow your capacities. And we said the mountain is not growing. What must grow is me. That's what must grow. And throughout all these conversations, we have seen the power of growth. And that's why I have sent there on the link One, a video for Gloria. We had an interview and she shared her story, areas of growth. Number two, I have shared a link. Have I shared a link? No, I've shared an highlight of if you want to join season 23, which begins just right after Easter of the book club, you are welcome. Just DM. The amount of money is 2,500. It is laughable. And I usually just look back when people tell me, Guy, that is so expensive. I just wonder. Look at it. It's not even 1,000 bob per month, and you are saying it's expensive. And look at the growth these ladies have gone through and the kind of women they are right now. Right from their presentations, you can tell the level of growth. This can also be your portion if you only invest. I always ask, you budget for everything, but what is your budget for personal development? What percentage is it? And now it is March, the last day of March. How much have you spent? Have you bought shoes, dresses, made your hair with more than the 2,500? And the answer is yes. So why are you not investing in your growth? Remember, what must grow is you. Thank you very much, ladies. It has been a pleasure. I can't even believe from 6:30 now it's a minute to 9 and you are all glued here. Amazing. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll be reading these notes in the chat. So good night and thank you. See you in season 23. Goodbye and God bless you. Bye-bye.